Well, good evening. Uh, Welcome to Thursday evening devotions from my kitchen table. I pray that all is well with you and that you're doing well. And also just pray too that if you are troubled or burdened with something, that you just give them to Jesus, and He'll make them better. He'll give you rest and comfort, and you'll feel a lot better when you do. So this evening I want to talk with you about a woman that you may not be familiar with. You may not have ever heard her name. Her story is found in the 12th chapter of the book of Revelation, or it's sometimes referred to as the revelation of Jesus Christ. It's found there in that book. But anyway, her name is the woman clothed with the sun. And she's also known as the woman of the apocalypse. Because of time limits, I'm not going to be able to get into too much detail on this. It really goes into depth. There's a lot more to her story, but you're welcome to read it yourself. I'll read the chapter in a little bit, but you're welcome to read her story yourself and do some research on it. Interesting story, and you're liable to see some things there that you weren't aware of. Now, I've been thinking recently here for a while anyway about all the goings-on that's happening all around us here in our community, and how this virus has affected us, and other events that are taking place throughout our nation, riots and destruction, and just all kinds of violence that are ruining people's lives and hurting people, and even killing them. Terrible thing, terrible thing. And as I read the scriptures, I think the scriptures allude to times such as these. Now understand that every generation has had troubled times, and so every generation has thought that that was the end times. But when you read the scriptures and about all the prophecy that I'm aware of has been fulfilled, and I don't know that the end times is going to happen tonight, but I think we're living in the end times, or certainly we're closer to them today than we were yesterday. And so I was thinking about the end times and what the scriptures allude to, and what it was going to be like. Is the church going to be safe? Are God's people going to be safe, and so forth? So these times, they call them the end times. And in the end times, people were trying to destroy the people of God. In fact, they thought they had the people of God eradicated. They're trying to destroy our nation, to drive and stamp out Christianity at every turn, trying to erase history in exchange for anarchy. They want to eliminate all the authorities and any accountability, unless, of course, they're the ones in charge, and they can hold people accountable, and they are the ultimate authority. And then those anarchists then can go about and live high on the hog, if you will. Well, the scriptures warn us about such times as these. And Jesus tells us these things are bound to happen, but do not be afraid. Believe in God, he said, and believe also in me. And when we talk about Revelation, or the book of Revelation, most folks shy away from Revelation because of all the imagery that's in it. But however, it's well worth the read, and it's worth the study. And as you think about the imagery that's in it, think about what was going on in John's day, and keep in mind what he may have been thinking about or had in mind as he writes the vision that he had. Well, this is the 12th chapter of Revelation, and let me just share it with you. A great sign appeared in the heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and a crown of 12 stars on her head. she was pregnant and cried out in pain as she was about to give birth. Then another sign appeared in the heaven, an enormous red dragon with 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 crowns on its heads. Its tail swept 1/3 of the stars out of the sky and flung them to the earth. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child the moment he was born. She gave birth to a son, a male child, who will rule all the nations with an iron scepter. And her child was snatched up to God and to his throne. The woman fled to the wilderness, to a place prepared for her by God, where she might be taken care of for 1,260 days. Then war broke out in the heaven, and Michael and the archangel and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought back. But he was not strong enough, and they lost their place in heaven. The great dragon was hurled down, that ancient serpent called the devil or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. And he was hurled to earth, and all of his angels with him. Then I heard a loud voice from heaven say, "Now have come the salvation and the power and the kingdom of our God and the authority of his Messiah. For the accuser of our brothers and sisters, who accuses them before our God day and night, has been hurled down. They triumphed over him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of his testimony. They did not love their lives so much as to shrink from death. Therefore rejoice, you heavens, and you who dwell in them. But woe to the earth and the sea, because the devil has gone down to you. He is filled with fury, because he knows that his time is short." When the dragon saw that he had been hurled to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman was given 2 wings of a great eagle, so that she might fly to the place prepared for her in the wilderness, where she would be taken care of for a time, times and a half a time, out of the serpent's reach. From his mouth the serpent spewed water like a river to overtake the woman and sweep her away with the torrent. But the earth helped the woman by opening its mouth and swallowing the river that the dragon spewed out of his mouth. The dragon was enraged at the woman and went off to wage war against the rest of her offspring, those who keep God's commands and hold fast to their testimony about Jesus. John saw that there was going to be great troubles in the world for God's people, and he writes about that in his vision. Just shortly after, before he writes this, Jerusalem and the temple were destroyed in 70 A.D. And then John, in his vision of trouble, sees a great sign in the heavens. He sees a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon is her footstool, and she is wearing a crown with 12 stars on her head, and she is with child. The child is Jesus, the Messiah, God's anointed one, the only begotten Son of the Father. The woman is the mother of Messiah. But who is the woman? Some say it's Mary. But the woman had supernatural powers, and Mary was a human being just like you and I are, so it's unlikely that the woman is Mary. Some say the woman is the church, and others have concluded that it is Israel, the community of God's people. No doubt about it, though, that Messiah or Jesus was born out of the community of the people of God. So the mother of Messiah then is the church or Israel. No matter how much the church is persecuted by evil people and by the devil, and how much the church suffers, the community is still under God's protection and can never be ultimately destroyed. Evil from the very beginning has tried to destroy this child of God, this child of the community, but has failed. Some other images in the story that I just can't explain right now or go into detail about because I'm going to have to wrap this up. But briefly, here's some of the imagery that you can look for. The dragon is the devil. If you understand, it's the devil causing all the troubles. It begins to make sense. You can see things in a different light. And it's the devil who's continually trying to destroy the church and God's people, and who's tried to destroy the woman's child at every chance he gets. Just think about that. King Herod, when Jesus was born in Bethlehem, sent out his soldiers to kill every male child in Bethlehem in the area that was aged 2 years and under. And even back in Exodus, the book of Exodus, when the Hebrews were slaves in Egypt, that the king issued a decree. He said that every female child born of a Hebrew woman is allowed to live, but every male child born of a Hebrew woman will be killed. Even then, Satan was trying to destroy the lineage and bloodline of Messiah, of Jesus, so that he could not be born here on earth. Satan has been trying to destroy God and his people for a very, very long time, but he's never been successful. The 12 stars represent the 12 tribes of Israel. And Barclay then says that from this picture we get three great things about the community of God. First, it was out of the community of God that Christ came, and out of it Christ still has to come for those who have never heard him. Second, there are forces of evil, both spiritual and human, which are set on the destruction of the community of God and the nation. And third, however strong the opposition against it, however sore its sufferings, the community of God is under the protection of God, and therefore it can never ultimately be destroyed. Well, I hope you found this short session about the woman clothed with the sun interesting. And of course, as I said a moment ago, there's more to the story, and I hope you pick up chapter 12 and read it and maybe do a little research on it. You'll be glad you did. You'll be blessed for it. And so I just pray that you have a blessed week.